Welcome back to Blade Show 2021. I'm Carlos from Daily Carry Solutions. I'm here with Eric from the Outer Limitless YouTube channel and David from Byond EDC. So it's nice to see David again. Interesting new surroundings that I see here, but constantly reinventing. And one thing that really caught my eye was the fact that he's been working with some really big time knife designers here at Byond EDC. Aside from that, if it's my understanding, there's actually a tiering system that's being kind of showcased with Byond EDC and some of its affiliates. Can you kind of touch in a little bit about that?
That is correct. Thank you, Carlos. Hi, this is David Sum. As Troy McClure might say, you've seen me with brands such as, but right now it's going to be Byond EDC. So Byond EDC has three different tiers. First one is Byond EDC, and that's our working knife. We're using with G10, Micarta, you have D2 and Vg10, and we're trying to keep this at a very affordable level for access. Then the next up, we have asymmetrical. Asymmetrical is our enthusiast level, dealing with titanium, acidified VN, and designers such as us. And this is Terramundi, our collector level, more of a limited edition. So every single design we bring out in Terramundi will be a limited edition, and we'll strive to make every single edition something different. So you will never buy the same knife again and again, and you will find that each different serialized edition will have something different to differentiate it from what came before.
So David, thank you for going ahead and reviewing some of the tiers of the different knives that you guys have in production. I noticed, but that's only half of the table. So checking out the other half of the table, you mentioned off camera that these are a lot of prototypes. So this is likely the first time that people are actually going to be seeing some of this on camera. And there's some pretty recognizable names here. So let's go ahead and check some of these out. Let's see, starting with this one right here. This is I had to go ahead and bring this one up because this is a fellow Georgian. This is Dylan Mallery's design.
Absolutely. It is called Ray. And it is, I believe, one of the best design to come from Dylan Mallery, and I may be biased because it is our design. But as you can see, it has a integral tie frame with carbon fiber insert. It will feature an M390 blade with a thumb slot for opening. Now, the Ray is based on a design inspired by the silhouette of the Emperor Scorpion. So it is meant to bring style, substance, and ferocity all in the same knife, and while not losing the ability to bring this into a very sophisticated meeting or any serious occurrence with class. So you have a knife that can go with you literally anywhere, do anything, and because of the design and the manufacturing, it is strong enough to withstand any punishment.
It's a beautiful integral frame lock folder. I love the design. I love the fact that Dylan did something, very unique, but very to his style. I like this kind of like the thumb hole that you can deploy not only with your standard thumb, or you can kind of like use your
flick it open.
Index or your middle finger, kind of do the spidey flick, like they call it, jimping in all the right places. I mean, it's a very nice design from Dylan Mallery.
And Dylan has some attention to detail. You can see that there's the linear hole right in the clip.
Oh wow! Okay, yeah. Let's see if you can see that right there. I really dig it. Now, going into the second of the prototypes, I see something from a Demko brother.
Yes,
let's talk about that.
With pleasure. This is called the River Wolf. It is designed by John Demko, who is the half of the Demko knives. And this one, I think, has a very stylized flair that belongs uniquely to the Demko brothers. It looks like a knife that's monstrous in size, but it fits well into just about any hand. I have a pretty small hand, so it fits really well, and ergonomically, everything fits. And your hand is bigger than mine, but it also fits really nicely into your hand. All the points, all the surfaces, you grip just right. So it looks like a rough and tumble knife, but when you hold it in your hand, you notice that all the finer details have been exquisitely attentively paid attention to and resolved. So this knife, it's something that it's monstrous, but it's also very delicate. Combining that, both the hard, how should I say, combining both a hardened exterior with a very sophisticated interior into one knife. And of course, this will be part of the Terramundi series. So for the first 200, it will be with the flat grind as with the original. However, once we finish with the first batch, the second batch, I'm talking with John right now, we're going to do something different that would differentiate it from that first batch. And if we go forward with it, it will do something different with each batch that will make that, so if you buy a one from each batch, they will not be the same knife, and they'll be very distinctly different about each one of them.
Nice. I really like the fact that because of the fact that when you first see a Demko knife, you see it and it almost looks a bit, I don't want to say overbuilt, but it looks very deceiving. You see it as a large knife, and I'm somebody who generally carries, you know, a mid to a smaller size knife, even though I don't have knife restrictions where I live. And when I pick this up, I mean, I don't have the largest hand. I don't have a small hand. It's just right there in the middle, and it hits that sweet spot when I actually put this in my hand.
And that's actually part of the thing I was talking about as the Demko flair or Demko style, is that his knife always looked to be large, but when you hold it, it actually fits your hand really well, regardless of the size of your hand.
Definitely, and being that it's a prototype, you would think, okay, maybe they have to work on the thickness of the handles, or just how it feels in the hand. Sometimes when you handle titanium or you handle steel, it feels a little too thin or a little bit too thick, bulky, especially in the prototype stage. And I'm gonna be honest, I really like how it feels just now. Like, it's just the right thickness. It feels great in the hand. You can choke up on it. I'm assuming it's gonna have, you know, upper tier steel when it's produced.
Right, titanium handle, M390 steel.
Great. Okay. It just grips the hand really well. I feel I can get a really, really good grip on this. I mean, awesome prototype from John Demko. All right, now we're going ahead and we're checking out the third prototype in the series here, and I gotta tell you, I saw the smile when I looked at it. Eric gravitated towards these, and I'm a big fan of this designer as well. This is with Dirk Pinkerton, and I see he has a few designs with you guys, not only fixed blades, but folders. So let's go ahead and check those out.
Let's start with the fixed blade. This will be part of the Byond EDC series. It is called the Cleaver. 3 guesses how he got the name. G10 handle, Vg10 blade. So that way it gives you the cutting performance while keeping it easy to maintain, being stainless. It will come with a Kydex sheath and fits in and clipping very securely.
Very nice. Go ahead and see if I can. There we go.
Push down.
There we go. Awesome. Fits great in the hand. You can attach your lanyard over here on the bottom. Stonewashed Vg10. Is that going to be? Is that something you guys are thinking of putting into production, or is it something that you put together strictly for the prototype?
This is the prototype. For the production, we will try to do a matte, subdued finish, just because it is meant to be a hardcore camping or field knife, and a more bright finish wouldn't really be adding any benefit to it.
That'd be the right thing to do, definitely. I'm actually pretty excited to see when this goes into production, because I mean, you guys have a lot of really nice stuff, but I mean, to be completely honest, Dirk Pinkerton's designs, I mean, they're functionally aesthetic, and I mean, they're very practical when it comes into use.
Absolutely. I think his philosophy has always been form follows function, but when your function is already at almost a very substantial level, then your form naturally follows and it starts to look really good. So I've always been a fan of Dirk's design.
Now, I was actually looking at the that smaller blade, that smaller fixed blade that you have there. It looks like something that's great to be able to travel around with. So why don't you tell me about that one? That was your favorite out of them, aren't you?
No, you're good, man. This one was definitely that some caught my eye, you know, when Dirk proposed the design. And it's meant to be a neck knife, so you can hang this on your neck. It's called the Micro Sentoku, and it's grew out of Dirk's the variable broadhead series, where you have a grip ring handle, very secure in your hand, secure not gonna go anywhere. And you can fit different types of head on here for different purposes. Do a claw, do a dagger, and this one, you know, as the name suggests, it grew out of the Japanese sentoku chef's knife, and it meant a utility blade. With a sharp point, you can start the cut at any point, and because you're controlling it so close to the blade, for finer tasks, you have the ultimate control to apply force or direction or cut at the depths you want. And of course, you know, if you're cutting, in case of an emergency, is essentially an extension of your hand. If you reach out, it will touch it. But we'll be including a lanyard so that you don't have to worry about this thing being too small. You can't get a good grip. With a lanyard, there's enough to get a decent grip and keep it hold really firmly in your hand.
That's awesome. Now, are the lanyards going to be shipping with it and the sheath as well?
Yes.
Okay. And these are being considered in S35VN?
This will be one piece S35VN. I'll be part of the asymmetrical series.
Okay. So you can go ahead and check that on the hand. This is great. One thing I know, like my girlfriend, and I'm sure that she's not alone, she's always looking for something handy to be able to go ahead and put on really quick when she goes and she walks, like my dog. And something like this, in case something were to happen, she'd have quick access to it. And being that it's, you know, functionally an extension of the hand, being that you have to put your finger into it, it's not something where it can be easily dropped. Say that you're in the middle of a scuffle, or if you have to go ahead and have a nice purchase on something that you're opening, something like this, being that it's wrapped around your hand and it does have jimping both in the front and the back, it's nice to be able to go ahead and keep it nicely in place.
Right, and speaking of which, one is the difficulty of disarming someone holding this, and the second thing is, if you see the way the sheaths, the linear hole on the sheaths are located, you can put it so that it's always facing that same direction. It's not going to spin around, so you always know which way the blade is when you put your finger in it, and when you pull it out, it's going to be the same grip. That makes it easier, so when you practice for any kind of defense measure, you pull it out, you know exactly what to do with it, even blind and in the dark.
So aside from the fixed blades, I did see that folder from Dirk Pinkerton. It's going to be a part of the asymmetrical line, I believe you mentioned.
And I will actually, there are actually 3 folders. One will be in the Byond EDC series, and 2 will be in the asymmetrical series. Let me start with the Gara. That's part of the Byond EDC series. Micarta handle, temperature neutral, grippy, very grippy. You're not going to lose it. And here is a talent blade. So it's not a hawk bill. A hawk bill gets in and it doesn't really benefit you from cutting because it is pulling. But a hawk bill, you have a really piercing point. You can start that cut and then you just pull and it naturally cuts along with it.
So it's a talent design.
The talent design.
Okay.
And the opening mechanism is a little bit unique, is that this thumb groove or blood groove or whatever you want to call it, it actually acts as an opening device.
Okay.
And you can put your finger, you can put your finger anywhere along this to find the best spot for you to make it open. So it's one hand open, but there's no hole to limit your thumb into any place in particular.
It's going to allow it to have access to people that have larger and smaller hands.
Right. You can put it up here. You can put it. You can put it down here. It opens. You can put it up here. It opens. Anywhere along that groove.
Very nicely done. I mean, I gotta admit, that's as a part of the Byond EDC line. What kind of pricing are you looking to see some of the Byond EDC line, in the stores? Like when they're looking at something like, say, that with the upgraded.
So at this point, I can only give you a rough idea because each knife will obviously be different. So for Byond EDC series, our guideline is that it should be below $100, and for asymmetrical, $125 to $250, depending on material, design, and difficulty to manufacture. And for the Terramundi, that's actually a little bit harder to answer. All I can say is $250 and above, because number one, it'll be limited edition, and 2, it will be some of the more selective designs that we use. So manufacturers play into it, but that's our general pricing guideline, and it will obviously be different with each knife that we put into the series.
right, that's awesome to know. Now, I'd actually like to see that design right there. That one really caught my eye from Dirk Pinkerton as well.
So this one's called the Contact. It is actually based on the Capaz blade. So one of the most unique thing about it is that if you look at this, you'll notice that the blade, which is a Warncliffe, by the way, I'm a huge Warncliffe fan.
So am I.
The blade and the angle, the blade and the handle, there's an angle between the two. So that when you hold the knife naturally, this blade is naturally aligned with the surface you want to cut. You don't have to change your hand, but you just put it naturally down and you're cutting it. A consummate gentleman's tactical knife, this would not feel out of place in a three-piece suit or a sport coat or any place you need to be prepared and yet look your best. So style and functionality in one, and I think it kind of speaks to what Dirk means that form follows function, but he's not ignoring form for function. He's combining both in one package.
Very nicely done, and I really like how, and this is a titanium scale right here.
Yes,
titanium. You can see like the milling on both sides. I mean, beautiful design. Fires out very nice, especially for being a prototype. Pretty light. Pretty light.
I like it. I really like it.
And one thing I've noticed with a lot of these knives that are coming out now, and I'm glad to not see it on here, is that there is a little bit of contouring, you know, so that you kind of feel that dimension in the knife, and it doesn't feel flat and almost dull in your hand. I hate to have to say it like that, but there seems to be a lot of knives that take a lot more attention into aesthetics than to actual functionality and practicality. And it's really nice to see somebody like Dirk, you know, putting design after design out into the market that really melds the two. And it comes from somebody that has prior experience, you know, not only designing knives and designing beautiful knives, but designing functional knives. So it's great to see something like this. I'm a huge fan of the Warncliffe blade as well. And I'm really looking forward to seeing this out on retailers. I'm assuming, like Byond EDC, it's going to be out on retailers like Blade HQ. And are there any other companies that people would be able to see some of these knives once they are available?
You see them in brick and mortar shops. You see them on online shops. We are definitely open to any dealer that want to work with us. You know, we are here, and give us a call and give us an email, give us a holler, and we'll definitely answer.
So I saw one more knife in this collection, and I am going to assume by how it looks it is a Demko design. Okay, maybe I'm wrong, but I saw it and I have to get something on camera with it. So David, show me that knife.
It is actually a Pinkerton design.
Okay.
It's called the Chunk. And look at the name, I think it's very apparent where the name came from. But you can see, I can see where you think that the broad blade is very similar to something that the Demko brothers would do. So the Chunk, you have your titanium handle, which is slightly contoured. You have your S35VN blade. There is I don't know if I can show this on camera, but there is a internal lightning cut in the titanium handle, so that even though it is only titanium, it is actually lighter than it looks because of that. The balance is great. Opens super quick, whether using the flipper or use the thumb stud right there. So short, stout, and it's a handful.
Very nice. And this is called the Chunk. That is too funny. Beautiful knife though. And it fits very well in the hand again.
Both extensions on either side, on either end of the handle, prevent your hand from slipping out. So very secure grip.
I felt that. I mean, here's a front and a rear look, as well as a deployed look. And now my hands are not the biggest hands, but you know they fill most knives well. And as you can see, it fits just right. It does not feel like it's cramped in there. I don't feel any hot spot from the clip, and it's very well done. Kind of unique thumb studs there.
It adds a little flavor to it.
Definitely. Very nice. And this is a Pinkerton design.
It's a Pinkerton design.
All right. Sorry, Dirk. I apologize. And but yeah, some really nice stuff that you have here over at not only Byond EDC, but Asymmetrical. And I mean, I really look forward to seeing some of this stuff here in the company.
Thank you very much. We expect these to be available by the second half of the year, and we look forward to bring this to the market and just share these wonderful designs with everyone.
Very nice. Thank you so much for taking your time, David.
Thank you.
I'll see you around.
Absolutely. The Pinkerton? Yeah, the Pinkerton's good.
Is that going to be released in a schedule?
Mid-August.